There are moments in life when silence feels louder than words. Moments when a person carries something inside them but does not know how to speak it. The story begins on an evening when Sandra felt that kind of silence filling her chest. She had smiled through her day and talked to everyone with her usual warmth, but underneath that smile something was slowly collapsing. She was not sad. She was simply tired in a way she could not describe. Her thoughts felt heavy and scattered, like leaves moving in different directions with no wind. She did not expect anyone to notice this quiet struggle. She had gotten used to carrying things alone. But Keanu noticed. He always noticed things others missed. He had a calm way of observing people around him without making them feel watched. He could sense shifts in moods like a person senses a change in the weather. That evening he saw something in Sandra's eyes that she tried to hide. Something soft but worn out, something that needed space. She did not tell him anything. She did not complain about anything. Yet he simply stepped closer and said in a gentle voice that sounded almost like a whisper, "Come with me for a drive." Those words surprised Sandra. It was such a simple suggestion, not dramatic, not planned, not forced. Just offered like a hand reaching out toward someone standing at the edge of something difficult. She hesitated for a moment, wondering if he could see how she really felt. She did not want to be a burden. She did not want to bring her unspoken heaviness into his peaceful world. But the look in his eyes was patient and sincere. He was not asking out of duty. He was asking out of real care. So she agreed. They walked quietly to his car, the evening light softening into a peaceful glow. The sky had a faint orange tint as the sun began to set behind distant buildings. The world around them felt calm. No noise, no stress, just a slow quietness that seemed to wrap itself around them. When they sat inside the car and closed the doors, the silence grew even deeper. Not an uncomfortable silence, but a comforting one. A silence that allowed both of them to breathe. Keanu started the engine and pulled out onto the road. The city lights began to fade behind them as he drove toward a quieter area. Sandra watched the world pass by through the window. Buildings turned into smaller houses. Houses turned into open land. Open land turned into wide, empty roads lined with trees. The rhythm of the car felt like a soft lullaby. She could feel her mind slow down, not completely calm, but no longer racing. For the first few minutes, neither of them spoke. It felt like they did not need to. Keanu had a gentle presence that made silence feel safe instead of awkward. He did not push her to talk or explain anything. He did not ask what was wrong or why she seemed tired. He simply drove with a peaceful focus, his hands steady on the wheel, his eyes watching the road as if he already knew exactly where they needed to go. But soon Sandra felt something unusual. The road he took was not the one they normally used. The turns felt unfamiliar. The path seemed oddly chosen. She noticed him glance at road signs she had never seen before. She began to wonder if he was taking her somewhere specific. She leaned slightly toward him and asked gently, "Do you know where we are going?" Keanu smiled softly but did not give a clear answer. "Somewhere quiet," he said in a calm voice. "A place that helps me breathe." That made Sandra curious. She had known Keanu for many years, but there were still parts of him that felt mysterious in a kind and thoughtful way. He was the type of person who rarely talked about his own emotional struggles. He always tried to be the steady one, the calm one, the one others leaned on, yet now he was leading her somewhere personal without explaining why. She looked at him closely. He was calm, but his silence carried weight, like he was thinking about something only he understood. She felt a soft pull in her chest, a mixture of comfort and suspense. Something told her this drive was not random. Something told her that tonight was different. As the road stretched ahead of them, the surroundings changed completely. Tall buildings faded away entirely. Streetlights became fewer and fewer. The sky darkened into a deep blue. Stars started appearing one by one like quiet sparks. The wind through the open window carried a soft coolness that brushed against her skin. Sandra took a slow breath and felt the heaviness inside her shift a little, almost like it was loosening. Keanu finally spoke, and his voice was low and thoughtful. "Sometimes we forget how to listen to our own hearts," he said. "The world becomes loud, people become loud, even our own thoughts become loud, but there is something about a quiet road that helps things settle." Sandra felt those words in her chest. They were simple, but they carried meaning. She wanted to respond, but she did not know what to say. Instead, she let the silence continue and allowed his words to sit gently inside her. After some time, he slowed down the car and took a narrow turn that led to a road she had never seen before. The trees around them grew taller. The air smelled fresher. The night sky opened up like a soft blanket above them. She looked around with curiosity, wondering where he was taking her and why. The suspense grew gently but steadily. Her heart started to beat a little faster. She could feel something approaching, not something frightening, something meaningful, something important, something that would change the way she understood Keanu and maybe even herself. Then he stopped the car, very slowly, very quietly. They were on a small hill surrounded by open land. No noise, no lights, no people, just the sound of the wind moving through the grass. Sandra felt a sudden stillness inside her. She looked at Keanu with gentle confusion. "Why did we stop here?" she asked softly. Keanu did not answer right away. He stepped out of the car and walked to the side of the road. The moonlight cast a calm glow on his face. He seemed thoughtful, almost emotional. Sandra stepped out too and followed him slowly. She felt her heart tighten with curiosity. When she stood beside him, he finally spoke. "There is something I need to show you," he said, "but I need you to trust me." Sandra felt a soft chill run through her, not fear, anticipation. She nodded quietly and waited. She had no idea that the moment ahead would be one of the most meaningful moments of her life. She had no idea that this quiet drive would lead to a truth she never expected, a truth filled with kindness, a truth that would reveal something deep about Keanu's heart. And that was the moment everything began to change. There are moments when the world seems to pause, even if only for a breath. That is what Sandra felt as she stood beside Keanu on that quiet hill. The night air wrapped around them with a calm softness, and the silence felt almost alive. She could hear her own heartbeat, steady but curious, as she waited for him to speak. Something about the way he looked at the horizon told her that what he was about to share had been carried inside him for a very long time. Keanu stood with his hands gently resting at his sides. He breathed slowly, as if choosing the right words before letting them go. There was no rush in him, no pressure, just a calm intention that made Sandra feel safe. She watched him carefully, noticing the small details she had never paid attention to before. The way his shoulders seemed relaxed yet heavy. The way his eyes looked thoughtful but guarded. The way he seemed to be somewhere between the present and a memory he had not visited in a while. "Before I show you anything," he said quietly, "I want to ask you something." Sandra nodded. Her voice felt stuck in her chest, not out of fear, but because the moment felt delicate. "Have you ever had a place," he continued, "that helped you when everything inside you felt too full?" His question felt personal, like he was gently opening a small door inside her. She thought for a moment. She remembered childhood corners, hidden rooms, quiet beaches where she used to sit when she needed to breathe. She remembered a small tree behind her old house where she used to hide after arguments just to feel calm again. She looked at him and said softly, "Yes, I think everyone has at least one place like that." Keanu nodded slowly as if her answer meant more to him than she knew. "This is mine," he whispered, "and I have never brought anyone here before." The words hit her with a quiet force. She felt her breath catch for a moment. He had known many people, he had traveled endlessly, he had worked with countless faces, but he chose to bring her here. That meant something, something deeper than simple friendship, something warmer than a casual gesture. She did not fully understand why he trusted her with this, but she felt honored in a way she could not explain. The moonlight gently brushed his face as he walked a few steps forward. Sandra followed him slowly, her heart tapping with anticipation. He stopped near a small patch of grass beside the road. There was nothing unusual at first glance. No sign, no structure, no special landmark, just land and silence. But then he crouched down and brushed his hand over the grass. Sandra leaned closer and saw something faint beneath the leaves. A small wooden board, old, worn, almost blending into the ground. The writing carved onto it was simple and slightly faded. It read, "For quiet hearts who need time to breathe." Sandra felt a soft shock move through her. The message was gentle but powerful. It felt like a whisper from the earth itself. She looked at Keanu, searching his face for context. He sat down on the grass slowly, and the way he moved told her this place carried stories he had never spoken aloud. She sat beside him without asking, knowing the moment called for quiet closeness. He took a slow breath before speaking again. "I found this place when I was younger, not searching for it, just driving without direction one night. I stopped here because I could not carry my thoughts anymore. I sat on this same ground until the sun came up." His voice was soft but steady, not dramatic, not emotional in a loud way, just honest, painfully honest. Sandra listened closely, afraid to interrupt even with a breath. "Someone had left this wooden piece here. I never knew who. Maybe someone like me. Maybe someone who needed a small reminder that they were not alone in their silence. He glanced at the board with a gentle sadness. This simple message helped me in ways I have never told anyone. Sandra felt her chest grow warm. She had known Keanu to be thoughtful, but she had never seen him open himself this way. Hearing him share this vulnerable part of his past made her understand how deeply human he was beneath his calm surface. The world saw him as strong, collected, peaceful, but all strength hides quiet struggles. She whispered, "Why did you bring me here tonight?" He turned his head toward her slowly. For a moment he did not answer. His eyes carried something deep, something sincere, something that felt like it had waited years to be spoken. "Because I saw the same heaviness in you that I once carried," he said softly, "and I did not want you to hold it alone." Sandra felt her eyes sting. She blinked and looked down, trying to keep the emotion steady inside her. She had always tried to appear strong in front of others, to smile, to stay composed, to not show the personal storms she fought, but Keanu saw through her without her saying a single word. He continued gently, "You give so much of yourself to others. You listen, you comfort, you lift people up. But no one asks you if you need a place to breathe. I wanted you to see mine because maybe it can be yours too." Those words cut through her in the softest, most healing way. She looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. She had spent her whole life trying to be strong, but in that moment she realized something she had forgotten. Strength is not just about carrying. Sometimes it is about being seen by someone who cares. The suspense of the moment settled into a deep emotional stillness. The night wind moved through the grass, creating a gentle sound that felt like nature breathing with them. They sat together in silence, but it was a warm silence full of meaning. Sandra felt the heaviness inside her shift again, just a little more. She could feel a soft relief spreading through her chest. After a long, quiet pause, Keanu spoke again with surprising honesty. "I was afraid to bring someone here," he said. "This place feels like a piece of my heart. But when I saw you tonight, something told me you needed this as much as I once did." Sandra swallowed gently as emotion rose inside her. She looked at the wooden board once more and realized that this place was not just a quiet spot. It was a moment from Keanu's past, a moment of vulnerability he kept hidden, and now he had chosen to share it with her. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "I did not realize how much I needed a place like this." He gave her a small, warm smile. "Sometimes we do not know what we need until we arrive at the right moment." The night felt peaceful. The air felt lighter. The heaviness that Sandra had been hiding all day seemed to soften. The suspense was still in the air, but now it carried warmth instead of tension. She sensed that this was only the beginning, that something even deeper was waiting to unfold, something she could not predict. Little did she know, the real turning point of the night was still ahead. Something would happen on this hill that would reveal a truth neither of them were prepared for. Something that would change how they saw themselves and each other. But for now, they sat together quietly, sharing a moment that felt like a gentle heartbeat in the middle of the night. Sometimes the most powerful moments come quietly, without warning, and without any dramatic sound to announce them. As Sandra and Keanu sat on the cool grass of that lonely hill, she felt something shift inside her, something she had been holding for far too long. It was not sadness. It was not fear. It was a deep tiredness she had ignored for years, hidden behind smiles and calm words. Being here in this place that meant so much to him allowed a part of her heart to breathe again. But the night was not finished with them. The silence grew deeper. The wind slowed. The sky felt larger, and something about the stillness around them made Sandra aware that she was standing at the edge of a moment she would remember forever. She could feel it in the air, almost like the world was waiting for something to be spoken. Then Keanu broke the silence with a quiet question that touched the most fragile part of her heart. "When was the last time you let yourself stop?" he asked softly. She froze for a moment. The question was simple, but it carried weight. She looked down at her hands resting on her knees. She thought about nights she stayed awake thinking about unfinished things. She thought about days she smiled even when her chest felt heavy. She thought about all the times she pushed herself to be strong for others but forgot to be gentle with herself. "I do not know," she whispered. "Maybe a long time ago." Keanu nodded as if he had expected that answer. "We learn to move on without checking if we are okay," he said. "We tell ourselves it is fine, we keep pushing, but one day our heart becomes too quiet and we do not even notice it." His words felt like they reached into places inside her she never spoke about. She looked at him, eyes soft but full of questions. "And what about you?" she asked. "When did you last stop?" He breathed slowly. "Right here," he said. "On this hill, this place saved me when my thoughts were heavier than my steps. I came here because the silence helped me hear myself again." Sandra studied him carefully. She had seen him strong many times, calm many times, kind many times, but this honesty was different. It was not a performance. It was not a story. It was a truth he rarely shared. It made her realize that behind every calm person there is a quiet storm they have survived. She felt a sudden urge to tell him something she had never said aloud. Not to anyone. She did not know why she felt safe enough to say it, but she did. "I get scared sometimes," she said with a small breath. "I get scared of disappointing people. I get scared of slowing down. I get scared that if I stop, everything around me might fall apart." Keanu listened with full attention. Every word she said seemed to matter to him. He did not interrupt. He did not try to fix anything. He simply let her speak. "I know," he said gently. "That is why I brought you here. You do not have to carry everything alone." The words landed in her heart like soft rain. They did not erase her worries, but they made her feel understood in a way she had not felt in a long time. As they sat together, the night grew quieter until it felt like the world was holding its breath. Sandra leaned back slightly and looked at the sky. Stars glimmered softly above them, scattered like small promises. The moon sat low and calm, casting a pale glow on the land around them. It felt peaceful, almost unreal. But then something unexpected happened. Keanu suddenly looked toward the road they came from, his expression changing just a little. He was not frightened. He was not tense. He was alert in a calm, controlled way. Sandra followed his gaze, trying to see what he saw, but the road behind them was empty. "What is it?" she asked quietly. He did not answer at first. He tilted his head slightly, listening to something she could not hear. His eyes narrowed with gentle focus, not in fear but in recognition. Finally, he said, "Someone else has been here recently." Sandra's heart jumped slightly. "How do you know?" He pointed toward the ground near the wooden board. There were faint marks in the grass. Sandra had not noticed them earlier. They were light, almost invisible, but Keanu saw them immediately. "Someone knelt here," he said softly, "and not long ago." The suspense tightened around them like a thin thread, not threatening but mysterious. Sandra could not understand why someone would visit this place. It was so quiet, so hidden, so far from anything. She felt a soft chill, not from fear but from the strange coincidence of it all. "Maybe someone else needed a quiet place," she said gently. Keanu nodded but did not look fully convinced. "Maybe," he said, "or maybe someone came here with a reason." He walked closer to the board and looked at it carefully. Sandra watched him, wondering what he was searching for. Then he noticed something in the dirt beside the board. He crouched and brushed the surface with his fingertips. There was a small stone with a faint mark on it, a tiny carved shape. "A star." Sandra knelt beside him, feeling her heart beat faster. "What is that?" Keanu took a slow breath. "I have seen this before," he said. "Years ago, it was left here once, on the same night I first found this place." Sandra felt a sudden stillness inside her. Something about the star symbol seemed quietly important. She looked at Keanu, her curiosity growing with each passing second. "What does it mean?" she asked softly. He held the small stone in his hand gently. "It means someone else found comfort here long before I did," he said. "Someone who understood the message on this board, someone who needed the same peace." He paused with a thoughtful expression. "And now it seems that person has returned." The realization sent a wave of emotion through Sandra. This place was not just Keanu's hidden refuge. It held quiet stories from others as well. People who had walked through their own storms, people who left their own silent marks. She felt connected to something deeper than she expected. Keanu stood up slowly and looked around. The land was still. The stars above were steady. Yet the moment felt charged with meaning, as if the past and present had met here without warning. "There is something I never told anyone," Keanu said suddenly, turning toward her with a soft seriousness. Sandra's breath caught. His tone was gentle but carried weight. She could feel the suspense rising again, drawing her closer to a truth she did not yet know. "The night I first came here," he continued, "I was not alone." Her heart stopped for a second. He looked at her, eyes calm, but full of a memory he had kept hidden. "Someone found me sitting here that night," he said. Someone who said almost the same words that are written on this board. Someone who disappeared before sunrise. Sandra's eyes widened as a soft chill ran down her spine. "Who was it?" she whispered. Keanu looked down at the star stone resting in his hand. "I do not know," he said quietly, "but I think they came back tonight." The night deepened around them, filled with mystery, emotion, and a quiet tension that held their hearts firmly between curiosity and fear. Sandra felt her pulse quicken as she understood one thing clearly. The quiet drive was no longer just about her. Something much bigger was waiting ahead. The air around them grew heavier, not with fear but with a strange, quiet tension. Sandra looked at the small star stone in Keanu's hand, her mind filled with questions that had no clear shape yet. The night felt deeper now, as if every sound had faded to make room for whatever truth was waiting to be spoken. She felt her heart beat slow and sharpen at the same time. The stillness around them made the moment feel almost unreal. "What happened that night?" she asked softly, unable to hold back her curiosity any longer. Keanu held the stone gently, turning it between his fingers. The moonlight reflected off its surface, giving it a faint glow. "I never told anyone about that night because it felt too strange to explain," he said. "I came here because I had reached a point where everything in my life felt too heavy. I did not know what I was searching for. I only knew I needed silence." Sandra listened closely. Every word he said seemed to hold more meaning than the sentence itself. She could feel how personal this memory was for him. "I sat on this ground," he continued, "in the same spot we are sitting now. I sat here for hours without moving or speaking. I thought I was completely alone. But then, sometime during the night, I felt someone sit beside me." Sandra felt a small breath escape her. "Did they speak to you?" Keanu nodded slowly. "Yes, they spoke quietly. They said I needed a place where my heart could breathe. I did not understand at first. I thought maybe they were lost too, but they knew things about how I felt. They knew I had been carrying too much. They knew I could not talk about it. They knew I needed silence." He paused, his eyes softening as he remembered the moment. "They told me that this place was made for people like us, people who look strong on the outside but carry storms on the inside." Sandra felt a deep ache in her chest. She understood that feeling too well. "And then what happened?" she asked gently. "I turned my head for just a moment," Keanu said. "And when I looked back, they were gone. No sound, no footsteps, nothing, just gone." The silence after his words stretched across the hill. Sandra felt as if the world itself had paused to listen. The story felt too real to be a dream, too meaningful to be an accident, and too mysterious to be ignored. She swallowed slowly. "Did you ever see them again?" "No," he said softly. "I never saw them, I never heard from them, I never even knew their name, but they left behind a stone with a star carved on it. It was their way of saying the moment was real. I kept it for years. Then one day it disappeared. I thought maybe I lost it, but now it seems it found its way back to this place." Sandra stared at the stone he now held. It seemed small, simple, harmless, yet powerful in the quietest way. It held a message she could not fully understand yet, but she could feel its importance. She took a slow breath and asked, "Do you think they came back tonight because of us?" Keanu looked at the empty road thoughtfully. "I do not know," he answered, "but something tells me their return is connected to you." The words sent a soft shock through her. "Me," she whispered. "Why would it be because of me?" He studied her face with a gentle seriousness. "Because the kind of heaviness you carry," he said, "reminds me of the heaviness I had that night, and maybe whoever came here before can sense it too." Sandra felt a sting behind her eyes. She looked away for a moment, trying to steady her breath. She had always hidden her struggles. She had always believed that people only saw her smile and nothing more. She never expected anyone to read the weight she carried inside. But Keanu saw it. And now there was a possibility that someone else, someone from his past, sensed it too. The thought made her chest tighten. Keanu placed the stone gently on the wooden board and stood up, brushing the dirt from his hands. "There is something else," he said quietly. Sandra rose to her feet, watching him closely. "What is it?" He pointed toward a small bend in the hill. "I want to check something," he said. "When I was here that night, I heard something from that direction, a sound I could never explain. If someone was here earlier today, maybe there is a sign." Sandra followed him without hesitation. The grass brushed softly against their legs as they walked. The night felt cooler, the wind softer, almost like it was guiding them toward whatever waited ahead. When they reached the small bend, the land dipped slightly. Sandra's breath caught when she saw something lying on the ground. It was small, pale, illuminated gently by the moonlight. Keanu walked toward it slowly and knelt down. "What is it?" Sandra asked as she approached him. He picked it up and held it in his hands. A folded piece of cloth, simple, worn, carefully placed, not dropped by accident. "This was not here before," he said. "Someone left it." Sandra's heart thudded softly. "Open it," she whispered. Keanu unfolded the cloth gently, and inside it was something that made both of them freeze. A strand of hair tied with a tiny knot. A gentle symbol of presence. Not threatening, not frightening, but deeply emotional. Sandra looked at Keanu with wide eyes. "What does this mean?" He breathed out slowly. "It means they were close," he said, "closer than we thought." The suspense settled over the hill again, mixing with a deep emotional warmth that neither of them could explain. Something about this mystery was not dark. It felt connected to healing, connected to guidance, connected to kindness. Sandra stepped back and looked at the open sky. "Why do I feel like we are meant to be here tonight?" she asked quietly. Keanu stood up with the cloth in his hand. "Because we are," he said. "This place has always called to people who need something. Maybe tonight it called us both." The night grew deeper. The air felt thick with unspoken meaning. Sandra felt her chest rise and fall with a slow pattern, as if her heart was adjusting to a new truth. "What do we do now?" she asked. Keanu looked at her with calm eyes. "We wait," he said. "Whoever came back left these signs for a reason, and I think the reason is not finished yet." The wind brushed past them softly, almost like a whisper. Sandra felt the suspense build again, but this time it was mixed with a strange comfort. Something was unfolding around them, something larger than either of them could understand. And as they stood on the quiet hill, side by side, they both sensed that the night still had one more reveal waiting. A reveal that would change everything they thought they knew about kindness, connection, and the quiet hearts who meet in silence. There are moments when the night feels like it is holding a secret, waiting for the right breath, the right heartbeat, and the right silence to reveal it. That was the feeling that wrapped around Sandra and Keanu as they stood on the quiet hill. The air around them felt different now, deeper, almost alive. Every sound seemed distant except the soft whisper of the wind and the steady rhythm of their breaths. Sandra looked at the small cloth and the tied strand of hair in Keanu's hand. The object seemed simple, harmless, almost delicate, but the meaning behind it felt larger than anything she could understand. She felt a mix of curiosity and uncertainty in her chest. She knew something important was happening, but she did not know what direction it was leading them toward. "Do you think they were watching us?" she asked quietly. Keanu did not answer right away. He studied the cloth with calm focus, as if trying to listen to something that was not spoken aloud. "I do not know," he said softly, "but I can feel something. It does not feel dangerous. It feels like someone trying to tell us something in their own way." Sandra stepped closer to him. The distance between them became smaller, and for a moment she felt their quiet loneliness connect in a way that felt warm and familiar. "Keanu," she whispered, "what if this person needs help? What if they came here because they saw something in us too?" Keanu looked at her with thoughtful eyes. "It is possible," he said. "This place has a strange way of bringing the right people at the right time." He walked toward the wooden board again, placing the cloth beside the star stone gently. The objects looked small under the moonlight, but they carried a sense of presence, as if someone had left a piece of themselves behind. Sandra watched him closely. The way he moved, the way he breathed, the way he looked around the land told her that he was remembering something she had not yet heard. Something deeper, something that had stayed with him for years. She approached him and sat down on the grass, inviting him silently to join her. He sat beside her without hesitation. The night air felt cool against their skin, and the atmosphere carried an emotion so gentle yet heavy that neither of them wanted to break it too quickly. After a long, quiet moment, Sandra finally spoke. "Keanu, that person who sat with you that night, do you ever think about what they meant to tell you?" He nodded slowly. "Yes," he said, "I think about it more often than people would believe." "What do you think they wanted you to understand?" she asked. He took a slow breath before answering. "I think they wanted me to know that quiet hearts are not weak," he said. That needing rest is not a failure. That carrying heavy things does not make you broken. I think they saw something in me that I could not see in myself. Sandra looked at the ground, absorbing his words. She felt a soft ache rise in her chest. Maybe they saw the part of you that hides behind calmness, she whispered. He turned to her gently. And maybe they saw the same part in you, he said. Their eyes met. The moment felt warm, fragile, and honest. Sandra felt something shift inside her again, like a quiet truth returning home. Then Keanu looked toward the horizon suddenly, sensing something. Sandra followed his gaze, her heart tightening. They both saw a faint light far in the distance. A soft glow, not bright, not moving fast, but present. There, Sandra whispered. Do you see it? Keanu nodded, his body tensing slightly with alertness but not fear. Someone is out there, he said quietly. That light was not there before. The suspense rose around them again, slow but steady. The world felt still except for that faint glow in the distance, almost like a signal or a whisper calling them. Should we go closer? Sandra asked. Keanu thought for a moment. Not yet, he said. If they want to be found, they will come closer. If not, they will leave another sign. He stood slowly and walked a few steps forward. The wind picked up gently, carrying the cool scent of night. Sandra stood beside him, watching the distant light flicker softly. After a moment, Keanu spoke again, his voice calm but filled with meaning. The last time I saw a glow like that was the night the stranger appeared, he said. They carried a small lantern. Sandra felt her heart jump. You remembered the light, she said. He nodded. Yes, it looked almost the same, quiet, warm, not meant to scare, meant to guide. The idea settled into her mind slowly. This was not a random person. This was not a stranger passing by. This was connected to the memory that shaped Keanu's quiet strength. The star stone, the board, the message. Everything was part of a bigger story that she was only now beginning to understand. They walked back to the wooden board and sat down again, feeling the weight of the moment grow deeper. Sandra leaned back on her hands, letting the cool night air touch her shoulders. Keanu, she said softly, do you ever wonder if this person came into your life to prepare you for something? He looked at her for a long moment. Maybe they came to remind me that kindness does not always speak loudly, he said. Sometimes it leaves small signs. Sandra felt her eyes soften, and maybe they came back tonight for both of us. His expression changed slightly, almost like he understood something she had not yet realized. You might be right, he said. The soft wind brushed against their faces, moving the grass gently. The night grew quieter. The glow in the distance dimmed slowly, becoming a faint memory. Sandra hugged her knees and whispered, I feel like this place is trying to tell us something. Keanu placed a calming hand on the ground beside him. Places remember the people who need them, he said gently. Sometimes they bring those people together. Sandra felt a warmth rise in her chest. It was soft, fragile, comforting. She breathed slowly, feeling her emotions settle into something she could not yet describe. The suspense of the night did not fade. It grew deeper in a calmer way, like something was shifting inside both of them, something that was preparing them for the final truth waiting to unfold. And as they sat together under the quiet sky, they did not yet know that the next moment would hold the deepest reveal of all. A reveal about kindness, about connection, and about the quiet heart who brought them both here. Some nights do not end the way people expect. Some nights open a door to a truth that has been waiting silently for years. And as Sandra and Keanu sat on the quiet hill watching the distant glow fade into the darkness, the air around them shifted again. It felt like the night had taken a slow breath and was now ready to reveal what it had been holding. Sandra felt her heart beating gently but fast. Something about the silence felt meaningful. Something about the moment felt close to breaking open. She looked at Keanu, who was staring at the same horizon with a calm, focused expression. She could tell he was remembering something, something important, something unfinished. After a long moment, he spoke softly. There is something I never understood, he said. The person who came to me that night knew exactly how I felt. They told me things I had not spoken to anyone. They told me that strong people sometimes forget they are allowed to rest. They told me that quiet hearts deserve gentle places. I kept wondering how they knew so much. Sandra watched him closely. She could feel a quiet intensity building inside him, like a truth finally rising. Keanu, she whispered, do you think they knew you before that night? He looked at her slowly. I did not think so, he said, but now I am beginning to understand something I never saw before. Sandra leaned in slightly, her breath caught. What is it? He turned toward her fully, and for the first time since they arrived, his voice carried a soft tremble. They told me something strange before disappearing. They said that one day this place would help someone I cared about, someone who carried the same weight I once carried. Sandra stared at him, her heart tightening. Someone you cared about, she repeated quietly. He nodded. Yes, they said I would bring that person here without even planning it. They said the moment would come naturally, like the world guiding me through memory. Sandra felt her eyes widen. The truth began to take shape inside her, slow at first, then sharp and clear. Keanu, she whispered, her voice softening, do you think they meant me? He held her gaze with a mixture of emotion and certainty. Yes, he said, I think they meant you all along. Sandra felt breath leave her chest in one quiet wave. She looked at the wooden board, the star stone, the cloth, the faint light they had seen in the distance. Everything suddenly felt connected, not random, not accidental, connected through something deeper than either of them had understood. But how, she asked softly, how could they know about me years before we ever came here? Keanu picked up the star stone again, rolling it gently between his fingers. Maybe it was not about knowing your name, he said. Maybe it was about knowing your heart. The words felt like a warm echo inside her. She turned to the sky, breathing slowly, letting the idea sink into her. He continued gently. You and I are different in many ways, but we share something. We both carry our storms quietly. We both help others more than we help ourselves. We both forget to ask for rest. Maybe the person who found me recognized a kind of heart that shows up in more than one soul. Sandra felt something soften inside her. The mystery no longer felt strange or frightening. It felt meaningful. It felt like a message meant not just for Keanu, not just for her, but for anyone who carried silent heaviness. The wind brushed past them again, soft and comforting. Keanu, she said quietly, do you think that person came back tonight to make sure you brought me here? He nodded gently. I think they wanted me to understand that healing is not meant to be done alone, and I think they wanted you to see that someone understands your quiet weight too. Sandra lowered her eyes as emotion filled her chest. She felt tears gently gather at the corners of her eyes, but they were not sad tears. They were warm, grateful, relieved. She had spent so long carrying silent exhaustion that she forgot what it felt like to truly be seen. Keanu reached out slowly and placed his hand on the grass beside her, close enough that she could feel the calm strength in him. This place helped me when I felt lost, he said. And tonight I wanted it to help you. I wanted you to know that you are not invisible. Your feelings matter, your heart matters, your silence matters. Her eyes softened as she looked at him. Thank you, she whispered. I did not expect tonight to become so important. I thought it would just be a drive. I did not know it would become a place where my heart could breathe. Keanu smiled gently. Sometimes the quiet roads lead to the loudest healing. They sat together as the night wrapped around them like a soft blanket. The suspense that had surrounded them slowly melted into warmth. The mystery of the stranger no longer felt like a puzzle to be solved. It felt like a gentle guide who appeared at the right times in the right ways. Sandra touched the star stone lightly. Do you think we will ever meet them? She asked. Keanu shook his head softly. Maybe we already have, he said, or maybe we never will, but their kindness has already done its work. Sandra breathed slowly. And what work is that? He looked at her with quiet certainty, bringing two quiet hearts to the place where they finally understood they were not alone. The hill felt peaceful now, like the land itself was exhaling. The mystery had become a message, and the message had become a truth. Sandra and Keanu stood up slowly, ready to leave. As they walked toward the car, the wind moved through the grass one last time, as if whispering a gentle goodbye. The soft glow in the distance had disappeared entirely, but neither of them felt fear or confusion. They felt gratitude. Because tonight, halfway through a simple, quiet drive, everything had changed. They had found a place of healing. They had found a message left by a stranger. And most importantly, they had found understanding in each other.